How you doing, truckers? I'm James with Survivors Truck Talk. We're going to talk some real talk about what we as truck drivers go through sometimes in this trucking industry. Those of you who are experienced know exactly what I'll be talking about, that some dispatchers just don't get it. At the end of this video, I'm going to share 2 reasons why we should not let our dispatchers do certain things to us as truckers. So listen out for those as we discuss this. So today, I unfortunately got frustrated and a little bit impatient because my dispatcher wanted me to deliver a load the next morning at 0600. And when a dispatcher sends a load in and you get it on your tablet and you start thinking in your mind, am I going to make this load? Is the delivery going to be on time? Because, by the time I deliver this load, I go pick it up, drop and hook, whatever the case may be, and then they want me to drive a certain amount of miles to get this next load on time and quickly. I realize, doing trucking for about 5 years or more now, I can tell right away if I'm going to make a delivery on time. And so I realized, well, I'm going to finish at about 3 o'clock today in the afternoon, do my 10-hour break, and start at midnight to get that next load on time. And so I called my dispatcher a few times. They didn't answer. Finally, I got in touch with them and I said, I don't believe I will make this on-time delivery after I deliver this load. And, I tried to tell them, by the time I do my 10-hour break, I'm going to have to start at midnight, which I usually don't do. I do like starting early, 2, 3, 4 in the morning, to beat that afternoon traffic of trying to find parking and get a shower and all that kind of stuff. But I will not make it because by the time I deliver this one, and y'all want me to be there at 0600 on-time delivery, it's not going to happen. So my dispatcher kind of understood a little bit. And as truck drivers, you may have experiences already where the dispatcher will just force it on you. They try to take advantage of you, and it just starts putting you in a certain mood that you just don't feel comfortable no more. I know that you truck drivers have also been in worst case scenarios where you're breaking down and traffic is heavy in this state that you're in, and they still want you to be on time and you're already running like 2 hours behind, and they're just forcing it and forcing it. That's not a good situation to be in. I've been in those trucking kind of companies where they force dispatch and just don't care about what you're going through as a truck driver. And so dispatchers sometimes just don't understand what us truck drivers go through out here. We're dealing with traffic, we're dealing with stress already from the industry, and we're trying to get the proper rest at the same time. And there's some people out there running ragged, like not taking showers for, a week because of how, bad their dispatch is running them. And I know that there's no excuse to, neglect that personal hygiene, truckers. So let's try to be more mindful of that, take care of yourself, keep yourself clean. You're just going to feel better on the road while you're driving. So needless to say, I tried to explain to my dispatcher that I will not make on-time delivery. I can tell already with my hours, even if I run my clock down to the minute and then start exactly 10 hours later, I'm not going to make it. But if I feel like they were not understanding, and so my hunch was right a little bit after, I got off the phone, I was heading down the road, finishing out my clock, and I get a message and they say, it looks like you should be able to make that on-time delivery. And I'm just like, what? It's like I didn't even have the conversation with them about what I was trying to tell them about my hours. And they said, oh, if you run out your clock, you should be fine and you should make it. And I was just like, okay. And so the next part of this, I call them back and say, no, I'm not going to make on-time delivery. This is what will happen because I know how long it takes me to get to certain places. I know the traffic in certain states that also causes a delay. And so I told him, no, I will not make on-time delivery. I'm going to be late. So I just want to let you know that that's the reality of it. And so, they tried to compromise and say, okay, I'll tell them you're going to be late. But I bring this story up, truckers, because you and I both know that these kinds of dispatchers sometimes don't care about what you go through as a truck driver. They don't care that you did not get enough rest. They don't care that you have X amount of hours on your clock, and they just want the load there. So here are two reasons why we should not let dispatchers do this to us as truck drivers. First, it's going to put us in a different mindset. We're going to feel rushed, and we're not going to feel at ease, and it just shifts the whole mood and puts you in a bad mood, and it brings in frustration and negativity. And if we don't check that and put that in check, we're just going to feel miserable. And so that's where self-control comes in, and a lot of patience comes in, because as truckers, we do need a lot of self-control and patience out here, because constantly there's people on the road just cutting us off, people on the road just getting right in front of us, not realizing that we're a big semi truck, and if we stop fast, we're going to hit you, and all these kinds of things that go on every day. You and I know what we see out here as truck drivers. The second reason we don't want to allow a dispatcher to do that to us, when we know our own personal hours, when we know our pace, is that it's going to create an unsafe environment. So a good positive pushback to a dispatcher that is trying to do this is say, hey, this is creating an unsafe environment for me. I feel rushed. I feel like I'm going to not make it on time. And it just shifts the whole dynamic of the working environment. So those are two reasons why we shouldn't let dispatchers do this. Number one, it just shifts your whole mindset. And number two, it can be unsafe if we let it get to us and we just feel rushed and that we just have to please the company or make sure that this load is on time. I know that some of you truck drivers out there have gone through worse things with dispatchers. You want to share your experience, put it in the comments. I always like to read those. If you like content like this, you can subscribe to the channel, Survivors Truck Talk. Here we talk about personal development for truck drivers and also everything that happens in this industry, and so that we can connect, come together as truck drivers and understand one another and just try to make this industry a little bit less stressful where we can as truckers.